Hello and welcome to Tarotzahara. I am still Tina Zahara. Anyways, let's jump right in this time. The first thing I really want to explain is that when I talk about, the Hierophant, for example, ruling the planet Jupiter, for example, my mother was an astrologer. And so I sort of always grew up hearing all this astrological stuff. And I tended to kind of compartmentalize things in my head astrologically. But I didn't really understand astrology in the broader sense. And then later on, after I learned tarot, my mother and I would sort of double team people, and we'd sit down with somebody. She would have done the chart already. I'd sit down, I'd pull cards, I'd say what I had to say. Then the person would go on and they'd talk to her. And when we'd get back together again, we'd see that the tarot cards that I pulled corresponded to the planets that were in play in their chart and what was going on in their chart. There's a direct association. You can't really separate astrology from tarot, which is why I kind of do a little bit of astrology in this class. We haven't gotten to it yet, but we will. Because you really can't separate it. And further, if you know just some really basic astrology, just basic stuff, it will give you just a little bit more information. If they're talking about, let's say, I'm a Scorpio. Let's say a Scorpio, I'm reading about a Scorpio and I'm seeing a lot of secrets. Like, that is kind of the nature of the Scorpio beast, to not tell everything that we think when we're thinking it. So, it gives you sort of a little bit of an edge. You can't really totally use it. You can't say, oh, well, this person is a Scorpio, therefore they're going to be secretive. Because, like someone like me, I'm not really secretive. I just don't tell everything that I'm thinking until I've sort of thought it through, and until I kind of have some sort of a game plan or something in my mind. Then I'll kind of speak at that point. But in any event, there is a method to this madness. And as we get through deeper and deeper, remember, we're just in the first, couple classes, you will start to see how it dovetails between the tarot and the astrology. And I promise I won't put you through too much astrology. I'm not that great with it. I'm pretty good with natal charts, but that's about it. There are better people to teach you astrology than myself. But I do want you to know just the basics, and we'll get there when we get there. So that said, I hope we have our deck ready and we have our little notes, and we are going to talk about, starting with the Emperor. The Emperor, here we go, is card number 4, numerical value of 5. He has special associations to sight. He rules the bones, the head, and the knees. His planetary associations would be Saturn and Mars. Astrological signs would be Capricorn and Aries. The Emperor is the natural mate to the Empress. So just as the Empress is motherhood, the Emperor is fatherhood. He is virility in its sort of broadest sense. He has wealth and power and authority. His achievements have been attained by just wisdom, just doing things the smart way, the wise administration. He sees clearly, he thinks clearly, he creates clearly. And he embodies the concept of structure. So while certainly the Emperor could be a father, or your father, or the readee's father, it could also be a house, a building, any kind of a structure, a dam even, something like that. It could be a corporation, it could be a school, it could be the government, it could be the police. The police could also be the Chariot, actually. But the emperor, if you look close, if you look at him, he's got the gold chest plate, which we know is about patriarchy and protection. He's got the sword, which would be his strength in a certain way. He's got the scepter. Here, he's got his scepter, which would be more about his authority. And so he is a force to be reckoned with. When you see him in a spread, he usually, but not always, comes up to represent a person. And he's usually older. He's definitely wise. He's got some amount of power or authority. He does represent good health, mentally and or physically and or spiritually. He's got power and authority, equilibrium, establishment, sight in all capacities. So it's not just physical sight. And sometimes he can depict a corporation or fatherhood or the government or. That is your emperor right side up, right? He's a good guy. You want him on your side. But when he reverses, he goes in the opposite direction. He's either unwise, or he wants control without really having the power, or he is power hungry, or he's got no authority, anything along these lines. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to always, when you see the emperor, you always want to ask, what's he in control of? What does he have power over? What is his domain? That is your emperor. The Hierophant. Whoop, there he is. The Hierophant. He is otherwise known as the Pope or the High Priest. The High Priest meaning that he is the natural mate to the High Priestess. He is card number 5, numerical value of 6. He rules the ears and the throat. And if you notice on the card, he's got flaps over his ears here. And he's got this, whatever that is, over his throat. Different Hierophants will be depicted differently, but they usually do have something over the throat and the ears. And again, you know, when we're talking about how these things affect, if someone is pulling a spread on health, for example, and the Hierophant comes up, generally speaking, right side up, it's a healthy card. But if it's not, and you know that the person's sick, you can generally tell that it could be something in the throat, it could be the thyroid, it could be the vocal cords, it could be, I don't know, whatever, something like that, or the ears. So that's what I mean when I talk about the parts of the body that it rules and the astrological signs. It rules Taurus and Sagittarius, which doesn't really make any sense to this day. I don't understand the relationship between Taurus and Sagittarius, but you do see that combination often, and it does very often work very well. It either really works or it really doesn't, but anyways. So the priest, the high priest, the Pope, the Hierophant, is the representative of high self. It's higher learning, it's higher education. 9th house, you know, in astrology, ruled by Sagittarius, or, you know, ruled by the planet Jupiter, rules higher learning, whether that's college, whether that's religious, whether that's spiritual. That goes person to person, obviously. But the Hierophant will always represent, when he's right side up, he'll always represent choices that are long-term the right choice. Now, we all know that, like, I don't know, someone gives you too much change at the grocery store, and you start to walk out going, ha ha ha, I got an extra $20. And then you kind of go, oh, that employee that just made that mistake, that's probably going to come out of their check. And I don't know what their situation is. And all right, fine, I'll give the $20 back. It doesn't always feel good to make the the wiser choice. But there are long-term consequences to whatever choices we make. And so when you get the Hierophant right side up, it could indicate someone is about to make an important decision. They just made a decision and it was a good decision. Or it could be careful what you decide. You better stick with the high road, basically. It also indicates health. It's very much a card of health, and it's a card of religious rituals like christenings or a bris or a marriage or even a funeral, I suppose. But I think a funeral would probably be, other cards would be better. But religious, sort of religion in general falls under the Hierophant. So you have to be careful of the choice between immediate gratification or long-term gain. We've all made that immediate gratification choice and regretted it later on down the line. And so it primarily deals with that for me, but it can mean other things. It can also mean marriage, specifically marriage. So if you're doing a spread for two people who just met and they really, they're all crazy about each other and that Hierophant comes up, chances are they will marry at some point each other. Or one or the other is married. That could be relevant as well. And so you got to kind of watch the karmic path there. That's one of those triggers for you to say, okay, is this person behaving in a way that is going to come back and bite them? And if so, what is the best way for me to tell this person that they better be careful about what they do? You don't want to come across as preachy. You certainly don't want to come across as telling anyone what to do. But at the same time, you'd be remiss to not mention it, to not give them that option of like, you make the choice you're going to make, you're an adult, but, decisions have consequences. So there's that. And so a lot of times these karmic lessons can be taught through the physical body. And so, this could indicate that, right side up, that, because you've made some good choices, your health is pretty robust, right? But then when you reverse it, it goes the other way, right? It could be either that in a relationship, no marriage is likely to occur between these two. Like, they may get together, they may fall madly in love, they may be in love forever and ever, but they're probably not going to marry each other. It could be that one of them is married and the other one doesn't know about it. That can be a thing. It could be someone who calls themselves a teacher or an advisor or a mentor who's not representing your highest good or the querent's highest good. And just like right side up, it could be a really important teacher. That could be me. Hey, stranger things have happened. And so you really want to be careful with the reversed Hierophant, because the reversed Hierophant can have some very long-reaching consequences, not all of which are good. And especially when it's reversed, it could very, very much not be good. It could also, because it rules speech and hearing, it could indicate that, let's say two people, let's say they're coworkers, and they're just really having issues with each other, and they just can't, they're just not getting along, right? It could be that one isn't saying something that they should be saying, or one isn't hearing what they should be hearing, or they're not listening, or any variation of the above. But that's what you really kind of want to look at, is like, what decisions is this person making? What are they hearing? What are they saying? What's being said to them? Are these things do these things represent their best interests? And if not, where's the problem? Because you're not just, these cards don't just say, okay, well, this person is making a bad mistake. That's it. It could, and a crappy reader, sorry, I said that out loud. A not very good reader or an inexperienced reader would say, okay, well, you're making a mistake. That's not, to me, I would not pay for that reading personally. Like, no, I don't want to hear I'm making a mistake. Of course I'm making a mistake. I'm human. I'm alive. I'm breathing. Of course I'm making mistakes. I want to know what mistake I'm making, what the consequences are of the mistake that I'm making, what's a better choice, what aren't I hearing, what aren't I seeing, what aren't I saying. I want to know these things. And so you've got these trigger points. Tarot isn't about this means this, and this means this, and this means this, and now you're on your way. It's an art form. And so you're not trying to just, if you're going to be sloppy, or if you just have a really simple question, like, should I take this job or not, right? Like, you can just pull one card. And if, the question was, should I take this job? And the Hierophant comes up right side up, then yeah, it's a good job, right? But a good reader, a good reading is going to be like, okay, how will this job be? Will I like the job? Will the job pay enough? Will the benefits be there? If there are any shortcomings in, say, the pay or the benefits or whatever, does something else compensate for that? What makes it good? What makes it bad? It could be a horrible, horrible job. I had this horrible job years ago. It was a horrible job. I hated that stupid job. But I was in a building full of people that I liked. And I was able to just bang the work out really fast and spend most of my time wandering around hanging out with my buddies. So it actually was a good job, even though it was a terrible job. It didn't pay much and it was just an awful job. I was glad to go every day because there were a lot of other things that I got from it, primarily that I was learning metaphysics. I was studying with my teacher at the time, and it didn't take up any of my mental space. So I had all my mental space to be able to apply to going to my teacher after work and, picking her brains and figuring out what it was that she had to teach me. So anyways, so that is your Hierophant, your Pope, your High Priest. He is, again, the natural mate to the High Priestess. Because he is a Pope, and because she is potential unfulfilled, they're a non-sexual mate. It is a non-sexual mating between the Hierophant and the Priestess. Whereas the Emperor and the Empress are sexual because, of course, she's pregnant. She didn't get herself pregnant. Well, could have been, let's not go there. Anyways, so it's not a card of sex. It's a card of a sort of a higher union than sex, which is not to say that sex can be a high union, but that's a whole nother story. So the next card that we are going to cover is the Lovers. The Lovers is card number 6, numerical value of 7. This is my Lovers card. Okay, so it rules the planets Mercury and Venus. Astrological sign is absolutely Gemini, and body parts would be from the tips of your fingers all the way across. So from the tip of your finger all the way across, your arms, your shoulders, to the tips of your other fingers, your whole wingspan is what Gemini rules, specifically the hands, or what the Lover's card rules. Now, the Lover's card is symbolic of love in its highest form of fulfillment. Okay, so when you won't, let's say someone's in their 20s, right? And they meet some really cute guy, right? Oh, he's so cute and he's so sweet and blah, blah, blah. Well, you don't know anything about the guy. He could be the Antichrist, who just knows how to play the game well, right? And so that kind of a union is not going to show as the lovers. What's going to show as the lovers is going to be a union where two people come together and they stay together. They come together and they click. Now, how does the Bible say it? It says something to the effect of, and Adam knew Eve and so begat Cain. So they knew each other. They came together. They clicked. It is the first card in the deck that shows two characters on one card, which is it's a trigger to let you know that these people are a unit. They are two halves of a whole. Now, this doesn't mean that they're never going to have problems or whatever. It doesn't mean that they'll even stay together forever. But it does mean that they will come together and stay together for a long time, and that at some level, they sort of do that, like what one person is good at, the other person isn't good at. And so they kind of compensate for each other, right? But it's that hit and click. They don't come apart, not that easily. It takes a long time, if they ever do. Let's see. Okay, it certainly could indicate, if this is a reading on someone who just met somebody, a romantic interest, that this relationship would become serious and could very easily turn into a marriage. And most of the time, because the lovers comes up a lot of times with people who are not in relationships or are not about to get in relationships, whether they want to or not. And really what it is a card of gender. Now, gender gets really complicated, and I don't want to step on anybody's toes. I'm not, I don't know, whatever. I'm not the most politically correct person. But at the same time, I'm not judgmental either. So there's masculine and there's feminine in everything. Certainly the tarot deck has masculine and feminine, absolutely, which we'll cover more when we get into the minors. But there's a gender within everybody, okay? And nobody is 100% one way or the other. I mean, I'd like to grow my nails long, and I like to paint them pretty colors, and I like to put on makeup and do my hair, whatever. I like to do that stuff. But I'm also, not a girly girl either. I have some of each in me. Everybody does. And that's part of what makes a person unique, is their sort of internal gender balance. And that will change sometimes not, throughout the course of their lives, right? And so what you really kind of are looking for, what you're kind of looking for is either your own internal masculine and feminine are in some sort of balance that works for you, or that if you're running a whole lot of masculine, you've got someone around you who's running as much feminine, so that you two can sort of bounce off of each other. And so, bisexuality, homosexuality can fall under the Lover's card. It is not, again, we're so not going to get into judgment, or whether it's right or whether it's wrong, or whether a person's born gay or whether or not. Who cares? That is so not the point. What we're looking for is, we're looking for knowledge. We're looking for helping somebody, whether it's helping ourselves or helping someone that we're reading for, or just understanding a situation better. So really, whether gay or lesbian or the trans, whatever, who cares? It's just not, we're not even going to go there. If you want to go there in your own mind, then you're taking off on a different direction that I'm not going to follow you on. And so when you get the reversed lovers, you could have someone who's got a really serious gender imbalance. And when I say gender imbalance, that doesn't mean that, there's something wrong with someone because they're too masculine, or there's something wrong with someone because they're too feminine. What it means is if you're running all feminine energy is receptive. It receives, right? Think about like traditional sex between a man and a woman. The female receives, the male gives, right? That's kind of the way that physically works, right? If all you do is take, then you're kind of a drain on anybody that gets near you, and that's not good. If all you do is give, then what's there for you? Like, who gives to you? There has to be balance between give and take. There has to be balance in gender, or something's going to run off the rails. Whether it runs off the rails in a minor way, like a disagreement with somebody at work, for example, or whether it goes off the rails in a huge way, like, I don't know, that the universe has been banging on your head trying to tell you that your gender is out of balance badly, and you're not paying attention, and you end up with, I don't know, endometriosis or erectile dysfunction or whatever, like the universe tries to tell you. It whispers. If you're not listening, it speaks. If you're being dense, it yells. If you're still not listening, it hits you on the side of the head with a frying pan. So you want to kind of keep an eye on these gender issues. They don't seem on the surface to be that important, but they are. A lot of people will read the Lover's card as choices. And I would say with the Hierophant, you've got the higher choice and the lower choice. With the Lovers, you have that choice and that choice, if that makes any sense. Where one of these choices isn't higher and one isn't lower, like with the Hierophant, right? It's just a choice. And sometimes when you've got a reverse Lovers, it could be someone who's refusing to make a choice. Somebody who's trying to force somebody into backing them into a corner and forcing a choice out of them. Or somebody who should be making a choice and isn't making a choice. Or somebody who just made a really bad choice and needs to double back and re-choose better. But don't just presume that when you see the Lover's card, because everybody does it. Everybody does it. And no matter how many times I say don't do it, you'll still do it. That's just part of learning the craft, whatever. Don't presume when you see the Lover's card that means a romantic relationship. It may not. There, I've said it, okay? But it will tend to be about choice and about gender and about oneness and connectivity and a connection that sticks, as opposed to, yeah, I met this great person at this party, we talked, it was great, and then I never talked to them again. Okay, so next one would be the Chariot, which is really kind of one of my favorite cards. I like the Chariot. The Chariot goes off in all kinds of weird directions. First of all, its number is 7. Its numerical value is 8, right? It's got the black and the white horse. He's got the chest plate, very patriarchal sort of energy there because it's gold. He's got the wand, and he's coming back from battle victoriously, right? He is ruled by the moon and Saturn and Jupiter, which I'm not going to get into that right now. Okay. The planetary, the sun sign would be Cancer, and it rules the stomach, chest, and legs. It has specific connections with timing and speech. Okay, so the charioteer has been off in battle. He's fought the good fight, and he won, and now he's coming home victorious, right? So the charioteer comes home. That is what's most relevant to me about the Chariot card. Some other people read that a little bit differently. Some people see it more as a card of victory, and it is a card of victory. I'm not going to say that it's not. It's absolutely a card of victory. But to me, it's more about home. It's the fourth house in astrology. It's Cancer. It's the home, right? It's hearth and home. But again, he is victorious, and there implies in it a battle behind him. So when you're pulling that chariot on a situation or a person or something, you can pretty much assume that however they got where they are, it wasn't easy. They had to fight for it. Okay. And let me see. Okay. So prophetically, it certainly means victory and power and glory and all that stuff. Protection. Whenever you see a chest plate on a character, we've got it on the Emperor so far. We've got it now on the Charioteer. That chest plate is going to be protection. It's always gold, and it's protection. It's masculine. It's patriarchal. Okay. Certainly, there's glory associated with this. Home and hearth. Someone or something that comes back. You'll see this card come up very often during retrogrades. Now, again, without getting too heavy into the astrology, you know, Mercury goes retrograde, what, 4 times a year, 3 times a year, whatever, 3 or 4 times a year for 3 weeks. And people talk about Mercury retrogrades, but all the planets go retrograde. Well, I don't think the sun does. Whatever, anyways. Other planets go retrograde too. Currently, I think Uranus is retrograde, Pluto, whatever. And so retrograde will be going back again, right? So when you've got a retrograde, things from the past tend to come back. So it could be an old boyfriend that comes back, or girlfriend, as the case may be. It could be an old job that wants you back. It could be, you know, anything from the past that is revisited during a specific period of time. And because the Charioteer has to do with time and timing and astrology, right? Because it very much deals with astrology. It's a good indicator of time. So when you're doing your say 3-month general or your 3-month spread, and you've got your 10 cards, and you're looking for, you know, when should I get a new dog, right? You're looking for that, and the Chariot comes up. That's going to tell you right exactly when. Right there, that's when you do it. Very simple. It's like very simple. And so, you know, you there's going to be a balance, a trade-off here. You've got your left and your right. There's going to be a trade-off, but still it is a card of victory and home and the safety and protection of home. When you reverse it, it could be, oh, I'm sorry, let me add one more thing. It also has to do with transportation, specifically transportation on wheels. That would be bicycles, that would be e-bikes, that would be motorcycles, that would be cars, that would be trikes, that would be trains, right? It would be covered wagons, right? Because they're all wheeled vehicles on land. So the Chariot is on land, right? So when you reverse it, right, you could have car trouble. You could have a flat tire. There's your wheels. You could be late for somewhere. It's a really good one if you're pulling on like, oh, I've got a job interview tomorrow at 6 o'clock, 2 o'clock, whatever. How will that go? If the first card comes out as the Chariot reversed, it's like, okay, give yourself an extra half an hour because it's looking like something's going to go wrong and I might not get there on time. So you've got your timing there. You've got your ability to travel. It could be an unwillingness to go home or going home with failure under your belt instead of success. It could be coming home wounded, and not being able to get home at all, going home shamed, transportation problems, including the actual vehicle. Certainly when Mercury is retrograde, you're very likely to have car trouble or a flat tire or a fender bender or something like that. Short distance travel certainly falls under Mercury retrogrades, right? Or it could also be because he went to battle. It could actually be military. Right side up, that would be the good side of the military, right? The military that keeps us all safe and, everybody, it protects us. But when it's reversed, it could be like an embattled military, Ukraine, the Ukrainian military, they've fought the good fight. God love them, but they're getting pounded like poor guys, poor people. It could be wars. It could be bad timing. It could be unwinnable wars. Like that one's always good to know ahead of time. Like that's one of the reasons that I pull cards is before I make a move, and I probably should have done it more often than I have. God knows I have my regrets on that one. But if you're going to pull cards on a new job or a new relationship or whatever, right? And you get a reverse Chariot, it could either be telling you that it's just not the right time for this, or it could be telling you that you're about to go into an unwinnable fight. That is a war you can't win. Good to know. Okay. And when, and if that's a person who's, who is indicated by a reverse Chariot, that could be somebody who abuses their power. That could be somebody who has sort of a mercenary kind of attitude, is all about what's in it for me and not what's the big picture, that sort of thing. Okay. Last one for today is the Strength card. This card, it's such a happy card, right? It's all yellow and bright and sunny, and she's got her little kitty and, and technically this card doesn't really show it very well. Some other decks show it better. But technically what she's doing is she's cajoling the mouth open or cajoling the mouth closed on the cat. It is card number 8, numerical value of 9. Planetary association is Sun. Certainly, it is the Leo card for obvious reasons, and rules the heart, Leo. The Strength card, I like to think of it more as the Fortitude card, but it can be called either depending on the deck. But for these purposes, we're using Rider Waite, so it will be called the Strength card. So, the Fortitude card, it's really basic. It's some of these cards get really complicated, like the Emperor or the Chariot, or God forbid the Devil. Like these things get really complicated. But the Fortitude card, the Strength card, is not complicated. It's strength, plain and simple. Could it be going to the gym? Yeah. Could it be weight training? Yeah. Could it be, having the strength to get through the day when you're tired? Anything that would indicate strength, but it's not brute strength. It's not brutality. It's not harsh. It's gentle. That's why it's a woman with a cat, right? Ostensibly, she should be able to get the lion's mouth open and stick her head in there if she wants to, and that lion isn't going to bite her because she's not trying to control the cat. Good luck. Try controlling a cat. I dare you, right? She's not trying to control the cat. She's trying to cajole. She's trying to use her feminine wiles, as it were, to gain cooperation. And there's strength in cooperation. If somebody tells me, you better be there at 4 p.m. on the head, depending on what I have to be there for, I may or may not show up, and I may or may not show up on time. But if someone says, you know, Tina, there are good reasons why you might want to be at this place. And if I were you, I'd be there at 4. You bet your sweet bippy I'm going. Because I would rather cooperate than be badgered, controlled, manipulated, pushed, or just narcissized. Like this, like being browbeaten by some narcissist or something, right? And so sort of the prevailing wisdom with the strength card is gain cooperation. Don't push, don't control, don't beat people across the side of the head. Give them a good reason to want to cooperate with you. And then bright and sunny day will be yours. You will have the strength. Yay! And just like when it's reversed, that lion ain't opening his mouth. I don't care what you do. That lion is being a cat, and the cat is just not going to do anything but cat. So you're not going to get what you want, and that's not going to be a very fun card. And there's no strength in that whatsoever. So, you know, this card is a really good indicator in a spread of like, I've got this spread and I've got all these minors, and then I've got this reverse strength card. It's kind of the card saying like, kind of not the best question, maybe dumb question. You could probably do better. Okay. If it's right side up and you've got a bunch of majors with it, it's like, good question. Here's the way. This is the way. Take it or leave it. There's your strength. So, again, you're looking for trigger points. When you're reading tarot, and this is the art form, you're not doing a step-by-step operation. It's not like doing brain surgery where you must do this, followed by this, followed by this, followed by this, and it must be done exactly and precisely, or whatever, right? Tarot is an art form. If you cook, that's always the way, I'm Sicilian, I'm Italian. I love to cook, right? And so I think of it as like cooking. If you hand me, I'm sitting here and you drop a pound of ground beef, raw ground beef into my hands, and I take a taste of that, it's going to taste like raw ground beef, right? And then if I drop it in a frying pan and I brown it up and I take a taste of it, it's going to taste different because I've done something different to it. And then if I add salt, it's going to taste different still. And if I add garlic, if I add onion, etc., 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 it's like the layering of flavors that makes an overall, like, taste, right? Like, say, chili. It starts with ground beef and with onion and with garlic and with peppers and, celery, whatever you're putting in it. And then you've got your seasonings. You've got your cumin and you've got your paprika and you've got your whatever you're putting in there, your chipotle chili powder, whatever. And little by little by little, each thing that you do adds another layer and it creates a different whole. That's why 78 cards, because that's the tarot deck, right? 78 cards. 78 cards and their reversals. I mean, I can't say that I have never pulled the same card twice because I don't remember. I mean, I've pulled cards, so much over the years, but ostensibly you could go years without ever repeating the same spread. And even if you did repeat the same spread, it would be on a different person about a different question. So it would never be the same. Just like my cooking is never exactly the same because it's no fun to like measure stuff out and make it predictable. I want to play with it. If today I'm in the mood for something spicy, I might put something spicy in there. If today I'm in the mood for something sweet, I might put something sweet in there. It will still be Tina's chili. But will Tina's chili be spicy? Will it be sweet? Will it be meaty? Will I put beans? You don't know. I don't know. I don't know till I get there and until I taste it and I go, I don't like this. Or, ooh, I do like this. I'm going to leave this. Or, oh, I like this and I think a little bit more of this and maybe a little molasses and this and that and the other thing. That's what you're doing with tarot. That's why the Celtic cross, I'm not going to be an elitist and say it doesn't work, but it doesn't work. Like it doesn't work because it doesn't take into account the way the cards play off of each other. And it doesn't give you a grand, deep understanding. It just gives you little glimpses here and here and here and here. And if you are really psychic, those glimpses can trigger an understanding and it can trigger some accurate predictions. It can, but maybe not. And while I think that we're all born a little bit psychic, each person's upbringing, we're told when we're children, or most of us are. In a way, I kind of wasn't because I was always psychic, but we're told as children, ghosts aren't real. You can't tell the future. Nobody knows the future, all these things. And so it's kind of beaten out of us. And the art of learning tarot, of learning channeling, or of learning astrology, anything, is partly unlearning all of that stuff that was drilled into your head in different ways. If you come from a really sort of fundamentalist religious background, you were probably taught that that tarot is the tool of the devil. Like, oh God, you don't want to know what my Facebook page. Oh my God, the stuff I've had to take off of my Facebook page. These people like telling me I'm Satan's concubine, whatever. And I'll have people tell me, well, if you have a God-given talent, you shouldn't charge for it. Well, then I guess musicians shouldn't charge for that. And I guess artists shouldn't charge for that. It's all the same thing. It's all inspired. It's all creative. It's all kind of the same thing. It's all just variations on the same theme. And so what you're trying to do is you're trying to relearn in your head a different approach to life, a metaphysical approach, an approach that is sort of like religion in that you're taking it on faith. But with tarot, it's not pure faith because you can be proven right or you can be proven wrong. And we're still only up to like the seventh card in the deck, right? The eighth card in the deck. Like, we've got a long ways to go. Of course, you're not going to be that accurate just yet. Maybe you will. Like, that would be totally cool if you were really accurate right out of the chute. But chances are you won't be. And don't be discouraged. It takes time to learn how to blend all the different energies, because these aren't facts that sit next to each other. They're energies that sort of blend into each other. Just like if you've got red over here and blue over here, the intersection will be purple, right? You're looking for that flow, it's a flow. That's the best way I can describe it. So until we meet again, 3 spreads a day, every day. Certainly pull one of them should be, what is the truth about what will occur in my life in the next 24 hours? I will emphasize, I don't know if I covered this or not, don't ask questions that are like, why doesn't Joey like me? Bad, spring-loaded, bad question. You want to ask a question in a format that gives the cards the chance to lead the answer, perhaps away from a direction that you were looking, perhaps into it, but give the cards a chance to really talk. So instead of saying, why doesn't Joey like me? You would say, What is the truth? Because you only want to hear the truth. You don't want to hear stupid stories. What is the truth about how Joey really feels about me? That's a much better question. It gives the cards a chance to really give you the nuances. However many of those nuances you get or don't get, that's, that's you. But that's the point of asking broad, open questions, and always start your question is with what is the truth about? And don't until we cover it. And even then, just try not to. Try not to ask questions that are like, will he ask me out? Will I get the job? Will my dog like his new toy? Whatever. You don't want questions that will invoke a yes or no answer because they can be very difficult to interpret. I mean, we'll get there and there is a way to do it, but I don't do it that way until I've already asked the big question, the little question, and I'm a little bit unsure, then sometimes just to double check myself, then I'll do a yes or no question at that point. But we're not going there yet because I don't want you guys to get in bad habits yet. I'm trying to teach you really good habits. If you do your 3 spreads a day, every day, every day, every day, every day, whether you're late to work, whether you're tired, whether you're grumpy, whether you have COVID, whether you're having a bad hair day or anything else, if you do those 3 spreads every day, every day, every day, every day, what you're doing is you're signaling to your cards, to the universe, to your spooks, to your dead guys, whatever you want to call that up there, you are signaling your reliability. They will give you exactly what you give them. If you are a flake, they will be flakes. If you are reliable, they will be reliable. It's pretty simple. So, chew on that one for a while. And until next time, I hope you learned something. Thanks.